I could be absolutely wrong, but thinking about this movie after seeing it last night, I can't help but think that this would have been an amazing prequel to the movie Starship Troopers. Mickey 17 is the new film by Oscar winner director Bong Joon Ho, who also directed the Oscar-winning film Parasite, and he also directed one of my favorite films from 2006, Host. And if you haven't seen Host, put it on your list of what to watch. You won't be disappointed. It is a fantastic film. Mickey 17 stars Robert Pattinson as Mickey Barnes, a guy who's kind of an idiot. He and his friend Timo, played by Beef star Steven Yeun, are on the run from loan sharks who they owe money to due to a failed attempt at opening a macaroon shop on Earth. Looking for a quick escape, they join a space colonization program, and Timo joins up as a pilot and Mickey as an expendable. Apparently, Mickey doesn't have any skills required to join the colonization program and decides to sign up for the Expendables program that requires him to take on fatal missions like breathing the air of an unknown planet and being injected with unknown viruses, and pretty much any job that results in sometimes immediate death. After each death, he's cloned from a printer with his memories downloaded to his cloned body from a drive called the Brick. And when Mickey 17 comes back from an expedition that everyone believes he's died from, he finds another Mickey in his bed, Mickey 18. From there, it becomes a dark comedy about what makes one human, what causes us to have a lack of compassion towards others, and what we choose has worth as a living creature. And I feel like it's showing us sort of how, as we are so focused on ourselves, we lose compassion and a sense of others' true worth, our separation from empathy for others in society. The movie is actually based on the book Mickey 7, written by Edward Ashton in 2022, and if you've read the book and the sequel, a lot of the premise is the same, but there are a lot of differences between the book and the film, which I think is actually pretty great. So if you've read the book, you're going to enjoy the movie too in a different way. There are a couple of interesting things that I would have liked Bong Joon Ho to have added to the film from the book, like, for one, the fact that Mickey was actually pretty smart and a historian in the book, but because everyone has these glasses that tell them about history or pretty much whatever they want to know when they want to know it, he's pretty much obsolete at this point, leading him to apply for the Expendables program, which I thought was pretty funny and relevant for today, actually. The director does a great job with the story, adding in a lot of new ideas that keeps you guessing throughout the film. And Robert Pattinson has become one of my favorite actors of his generation, surprisingly. Who would have thought I would be excited to see a film from the guy who played a whiny vampire in the Twilight Saga? He plays Mickey 1 through 17 as this sort of mousy, dumb loser guy who struggles with being alive, ironically, due to the fact that he blames himself for a tragic loss as a child. In contrast to Mickey 18, who somehow takes on another personality trait. He's rougher, meaner, and more aggressive than 17 for some reason. The film doesn't really explain why 18 is so different than all the other clones, but there was a short scene, and I don't know if this is why, but as the printer is printing another Mickey, some random guy trips over one of the cords that's downloading his memories, so maybe that's what happened? I don't know. But I like the fact that, to me, it seemed like two sides of the same Mickey, the softer side and the more rough side and confrontational side. It's actually interesting to see them argue with each other in a way that you'd sort of talk to yourself in certain situations, kind of like the whole angel on one shoulder and devil on the other. Now, I can't be sure that's what the director was going for here, but if he was, it was pretty genius. Pattinson plays both versions of the character incredibly well, and during most of the film, I didn't see this character played by the same actor for the most part, if that makes sense. It was kind of like the opposite of what I saw when Michael Keaton played in Multiplicity. There were a few times that I did see Pattinson's 18 sounding a little too close to Batman.
Time for me to have another conversation with him.
No, not his Batman.
Murder me!
Mark Ruffalo goes full Trump as Kenneth Marshall, the commander of the colonization program, and I assume essentially president of the colony. They weren't subtle about who this character is supposed to represent, with lines about him giving a marvelous speech and there's no need to edit. He has this obvious tan and certain mannerisms. You get what the film is trying to say. And of course, there are two sides of the political game, pro-marshals and anti-marshals. His wife, played by Toni Collette, seems to be the woman behind the man, pulling the strings in every situation, as Marshall feels unsure a lot of the time before he makes a decision, whispering to his controlling wife in the process for confirmation, I guess. What's interesting to me is the fact that everyone in the movie wants to know from Mickey what death is like. There's a theme of death being the unknown and the fear of death that comes back around at the end of the film.
Hey, Mickey.
Yeah.
What's it feel like to die? I mean, I'm sure you're used to it by now. Still.
And I'm not sure if he really knows or is immune to the thought of death altogether because he's been through it so many times. This film has a lot of questions that I feel need to be answered. And it's kind of confusing at times. Like, why is this guy always dressed up as a pigeon? Which really is my only ding at this film, the unanswered questions. And there seem to be kind of a lot of them that don't make really great connections throughout the film. There's some really great fun scenes in this film. I love the scene where Mickey wins a dinner with Commander Marshall, but comes to find out there's an ulterior motive to his invite that makes the scene pretty funny, but also really haunting. And again, points out the fact that we are losing our empathy for other living creatures, let alone each other. And we decide what has a purpose in life or deserves to have life at all. There's a preconceived idea about the inhabitants of the ice planet they're colonizing based off of how they gross people out and ick people out, which again makes me think about how this movie would have made a great prequel to Paul Verhoeven's 1997 Starship Troopers, which is also a satire film about fascism, authoritarian government that lacks empathy for the original inhabitant creatures of the planet that they're colonizing. The film has a lot you could break down and analyze, sort of like the director's film Parasite, but it's not as complex as that film. You can forget all of that if you wanted and just enjoy this film as a fun, sort of disturbing sci-fi movie. Or you could try to take a deep dive into the teletransportation paradox, that philosophy on one's identity. I didn't even get into the theme of religion being a tool for a political party who doesn't actually believe in that religion to control a society. There is so much in this film that I think deserves a rewatch and analysis. Mickey 17 has some fun, dark comedy that also has a lot of heart at the end of the film. It has some amazing acting from Pattinson and the rest of the cast. It's visually stunning in a lot of areas and gives you a lot to think about while also not taking the film too seriously. It's a fun time that does have you asking some unanswered questions at the end, but all in all, I'm giving Mickey 4 out of 5 stars. It is rated a strong R for some pretty violent content, strong language throughout, some sexual content, some drug use, and a couple of butt shots. But I enjoyed this movie, even though it strays from the book quite a bit. But all in all, it was a fun, interesting watch that I would watch again and probably will. Let me know what you thought of Mickey 17. What did you think the director was trying to say in this film? Do you consider it controversial in any way or just a fun sci-fi ride? Have you read the book or the sequel to the book? There is a lot to break down in this film. Talk to me in the comments. Thank you again for watching and subscribing to the channel. And as always, don't wait till it streams. Let's go to the theater and let's see it together.
Oh man, what do we need him for? Well, he's gonna help me with the kids and he's gonna help me around the house. And I figured when you weren't busy with work or whatever, you guys could hang out together. What do you think? I think it'll be fun. Don't you think? Oh yeah, I'm giddy.